This is Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social and Association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Always a pleasure. I've joined the Zoom. It says J-Bone. I've gone, who the hell is J-Bone? And lo and behold, here is Mr. Johnny Fisher in his green t-shirt. How are you, my friend?
It's a story for another time, Charlie, what that means. But I'm good, Parsons. How are you?
Good, mate. Can't complain. You have got a media day on Thursday. We
Yeah.
unfortunately could not make it down, hence why I'm doing a little Zoom with you now and your trainer Mark tonight. I suppose go straight into it. Let's reflect on your last fight.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a tricky southpaw. You dispatched of him very easily. You know what critics are like. The minute that you sort of end it easy in a fight in what was meant to be a bit of a test for you, people
Yeah.
always have something to say, but it was never meant to be that simple, was it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And I remember Eddie coming in the change room before saying he's going to make you think a little bit, this guy, so don't rush. And I sort of caught him with one little check hook, like a little one, and he started wobbling then. And I thought, I can get him here. And then he sort of had a delayed reaction to the next punch and then fell on the ground and didn't get back up. So it's like a bit of an anticlimax, but I just got to keep putting them away, I guess. Listen, if I get these guys out there in the first round, the opponent's rubbish. If I take them to points and don't get them out of there, then I'm rubbish. So I'm never going to win, but I've just got to keep knocking them over.
Is it a little bit frustrating for you when stuff like that happens? Obviously, you go through a whole camp. I know you're building yourself up. Um, you are still pretty raw in the fact that
Yeah,
you could technically fight 30 of these, but that's not how you want to do it.
no, it is frustrating because you put all that effort into a camp, and it's not that it's frustrating when you first do it and you get a first round knockout. You're like, oh, it's amazing. But I've had two or three of them now, and listen, if I get another one, that's perfect because it means I'm going in the right direction. But yeah, you put 8, 10 weeks of training in, and then it's all over in a flash. But it's like any fight, really. Like you wake up on a Sunday morning and it's like, oh, it's all done now. On to the next one. But in a way, it's good because it's allowed me to have a quick turnaround and get onto this Joshua card as well. I had a week off and then got straight back into training, so I haven't really lost anything. I'm just building on the previous camp, which is great.
Let's talk about fighting on the Joshua camp. I spoke to Eddie. Eddie said that you're not having a normal ticket allocation.
No.
Incredible event. I imagine sort of when you share your sort of story from the last 5 years to be able to sort of see yourself on such a big card fighting for a title, your first title of your career. How special is that?
Oh, it's very special. Yeah, as I said on that post I done the other day, I was just finishing my GCSEs and starting my A levels, and I was watching Joshua and Dillian Whyte just as a pure boxing fan. I wasn't had no had no inkling of doing boxing at the time. I was playing rugby. I boxed as a kid, but no idea that I'd be coming back into the sport. So to be here now, what is it? 8 years later, after that in 2015, it's a great feeling. But got to get that job done.
Well, you fight Harry Armstrong,
Yeah,
scheduled for 10 rounds. He's never been stopped in his one defeat, and also has he got a one defeat? Thought he had
yeah,
two.
one defeat.
One defeat. But
Five
no
wins, one
stoppages either.
defeat.
5 wins. Sort of a bit of a not a strange one as such, but someone that we know is going to be tough and come in and give you
Yeah.
a good fight. We saw that last time out against Jamie TKV. Ready for what he's going to bring your way?
Well, I better be ready because it's only a couple of weeks away now. But I know I'm in for the toughest fight of my life so far, so I'll be ready. I sparred him once before. I know he's tough. He's durable. He's a big old lump, 6'6",
Yeah.
and he's got quite sharp hands. And he's been around the circuit. He's a nice bloke as it goes. But yeah, we've got to do battle on the 12th of August, and he is tough. He is durable. But I'll be looking to do the job.
Do you put pressure on yourself for a stoppage in this fight?
No, I never put self pressure on myself. Obviously, I'm looking
In a
for it.
weird way, would you also like to be able to sort of prove that you can go 10?
I'm not interested in proving anything, Charlie. If I'm being honest, all I care about is winning. So whether that's a win by unanimous decision, a win by stoppage, a win by split decision, it doesn't matter. All that matters is I win that belt. That's what I'm really really wanting to do.
Your first pro title,
Yeah,
on the card and everything. I know that sort of. I remember when we sat down recently in Sheffield after the fight, me, you, and Adam, and
yeah,
I've always sort of said to you, you could technically go 30-0 really with your lack of amateur experience. I know we've just said now that you don't really want to do that, but you have done it quite quickly, Johnny, and starting off where sort of there was no one in the crowd, it was lockdown shows, to then proving the mass amount of tickets you can do to featuring on that AJ slot. Um, how special is, away from the fight and the occasion, but just being able to have that first title that you've to fight for?
It just cements everything, doesn't it? It gives a bit of legitimacy to the journey. It gives the fans or supporters something to like that next step. And yeah, I just feel like I could go on and say, yeah, I'll get to 15-0, 20-0 without fighting anyone from England or anyone of any note. But listen, there's some guys I've fought who have been tough. Gabriel Nguema was tough. Michael Riesiger tried to take my head off in Sheffield back last year. So it's not as if I've been having easy touches where I'm fighting people with one win and 20 losses. These are still guys with a bit of ambition and trying to come into the fight. But it just feels right now. You know, you get that feeling like this is the right time now. My 10th fight, a big card. I'm ready for something a little bit more.
Johnny, I know you say he's a nice bloke, but you've actually got an opportunity to sort of get your teeth into something now when you're not necessarily knowing what you're training for. All you're expecting is they might be a little bit tough or they might be a handful. This is, I'd say, your first proper step up and testing the fact that you know that you have to be 100% on the night. Do you think that will sort of make the best out of you? That will show the diamonds?
Yeah, I like a little bit of pressure. That's what I like. I've had pressure from my first few fights. I remember in my debut, I had Lennox Lewis giving me messages. I had Tyson Fury shouting me out, and there was all this big hype around me. Sam Jones done a great job of building me up. And then you're sitting there 2-3 days before you go to fight in the hotel. You're like, I've been built up to be something massively. I better get the knockout, or I better do this. I better win. So I'm used to that pressure. Then I fought at Ali Pali in front of 2,500 people, and I fought the O2 when no one knew I could sell any tickets. So yeah, I've had the pressure from the very beginning. So it's nothing new. If anything, it only spurs me on to have a better performance.
If you win come August 12th, what would be the next step? I know you leave that down to your management, but you
Yeah,
had those conversations? There is a, you've got to bridge the levels sensibly, right?
yeah, and there's no discussion going on. All that matters in my head, even if there was a discussion, I'm not privy to it. I'm just going with what I know, which is to beat Harry Armstrong. Yeah, if you win that, there's international titles out there, stuff like that. But all that matters is winning the Southern area because I love the Southern area. There's something romantic about it. The fact that it's the first belt you can win. It's the King of the South. You know, it's a great belt, and yeah, you can have some barnstormers of fights if you fight for the Southern area.
What did you make of Armstrong's fight with Jamie TKV?
To be honest, I haven't watched a lot of it. I haven't. I've sparred Harry. I've sparred Harry before. Um, yeah, I haven't really watched it, so
Do you
I
feel like
don't
you
really.
don't need too
I'm not one
much
of them.
tape?
I'm not the sort of one to watch loads of tape. If I'm being honest, I've spoke to Mark about it. Mark Tibbs watches the tapes and
Yeah.
he'll go over the game plan. Listen, I'm not saying it's not beneficial to do that, and I might have a couple of looks before I fight, but I've seen other fights that Harry Armstrong's had, and yeah, I don't want to get too bogged down in worrying about what they do. I actually had a discussion with a darts player today, not Robbie Cross. His name's James. He just won the whole tournament at the fishing tournament today, and he was saying, "I don't watch my players. I just got to get into my own rhythm." And in a way, I know it's very different playing darts to boxing, but
No, but I know
you've
what
got to
you mean.
worry about you've got to worry about what you've got to do, you know. And yeah, I don't get too bogged down in that. I know what Harry Armstrong brings. He's a big, strong guy, fast hands, good boxing ability. But what have I got? I've got physicality, I've got power, I've got raw strength, I've got freshness, I've got youth, I've got fitness, and I've got boxing ability myself. So yeah, I'm worried about what I can do, not what other people can do.
What a set of adjectives. I don't think I could describe myself like that, Johnny.
Sounded like David Brent, didn't it? I'm a
Just a little
boss.
bit.
Entertainer first, boss second.
Just
Satisfaction.
just lastly on that front, I saw a little bit of discourse online. I don't know how true it was around maybe Jamie TKV being offered this fight or something like that. Are you able to sort of shed any, were there any conversations there?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I've not even spoke to Jamie TKV before. But yeah, no, nothing.
All right, Johnny. Finally, then, we know that you and Eduardo have good fun. I'm sure that August 12th is going to be a very fun full fight week experience, rolling out on the red carpet and everything. Just a final message to fans, supporters ahead of what should be a great night at the O2.
just excited for all the people, especially the people that have followed me from the beginning, all the way back in lockdown when people couldn't leave their houses and had to watch it at home, supporting me, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, everyone in Romford, Exeter. You've all been great so far, and this is that first little landmark. And win, lose or draw, I'm always going to give 110% for everyone who comes and watches and supports me. So yeah, looking forward to it and putting on a show for them guys. Bosh.
Just quickly, post fight holiday of choice and meal of choice.
Um, I don't like to think about it too much, but it's obviously going to be a Chinese after the fight, win, lose or draw, going to Harry Armstrong's changing room and give him a chicken ball and a kumpo prawn. But yeah, I'd like to go to Australia at some point. See the Australian boss soldiers. I was in when I was away last time. Saw a lot of Australian boss soldiers, Australians as we call them. Yeah, so I'd love to go over to Sydney, Melbourne, or Perth, somewhere like that, and see the Australians.
Johnny, top man, thank you for joining us at Boxing Social.